The power of community in art practice. Our question that we're asking is, how does learning about and creating artwork that is focused on community create more student engagement? We are focusing on a group of middle school students who went to their local historical museum to learn about past and present history. Some of the focuses that they had were on the native people, the Hopewell, which have been found also at the Newark Earthworks, which is also close to our community. Some of the things that the students saw in the museum have triggered some different reactions. The paintings of Black Cane Gorge, the diorama of the Hopewell people and how they lived, transportation using trolleys, trains, and canal boats, local art, industry, and music. They learned the importance of some of the artists that have come through and have gone on to places like Las Vegas or Nashville and made records. So some of the focuses that they really wanted to look at were by Newark Earthworks. The creative process. As students went back to the classroom, they started to divulge information and try to dissect what they've learned using community maps, thumbnails to generate ideas into their final sketches and color studies. The next step was their selection of art mediums. They had a long list that they could choose from. They had to back up their claim as to how their art was going to impact their community and teach others about it. Students decided they wanted to use different art mediums. We had some using foam to create dioramas. We had clay, paintings, drawings, a multitude of things. In an interview, one of my students said that they loved the idea that they could choose what they wanted to use and experiment and be challenged. I found that the challenge word came up a lot as I started to survey my students. Being able to use things that they felt like someone trusted them, even if they might cut themselves occasionally, they still were able to learn through the process. They felt good that they could make a mistake and learn from it and continue to learn and grow. Another thing that I noticed as I continued on my research was that students would group themselves into sets that were using the same types of material. Now, in my first semester of students, I did actually separate them into those table groupings. But this semester, I thought I'd try something different, and I let them just kind of do their thing. And they naturally seemed to group into those groupings. One of the students told me that they thought that this was a great way to learn from each other, to encourage each other, and to share supplies. And I have to agree, that is a really good reason to be able to do that. Students that worked in groupings, according to their materials, tended to talk to one another and problem solve together. I've seen students who were normally disruptive in class suddenly become knowledgeable about so many things that they wanted to share with others. They became more responsible and more focused. After the completion of first semester students with this project and their interaction with the community members, I did ask them what was more important. Was it that they had the selection of materials and seating, or was it the process of the community project in general, meeting the community members, learning from them, interacting with them? And to my surprise, they said both. Students said that the interaction that they had with their community members gave them a new sense of belonging. They said it was encouraging that others took notice of their work. And after talking to community members afterwards as well, they were so excited about the art room and what was happening They couldn't wait until my second semester students finished this project too, so that they could come out and see what the students have created. It has given our community members and our students new connections with one another. It has helped the students to identify things that are important and things that they belong to in our area. Students told me that this project helped them dig into something that was bigger than they were and that they had an interest in. Most of my students that I checked with after the project said that they loved it because it had a lot that they had to do, and it made them think, and it made them work harder. Some of my students came up with their own ideas for materials and brought that to my attention and wanted to know if they could do it. And when I said sure, the look of their face was awesome. And they went, really? And I said, sure, we'll figure out how we can do that. I just gave them a lot of freedom. It was a lot of work on both parts. I had students who went to our industrial tech teacher, and we actually worked together to help the kids create wood pieces that they needed to build things. We brought in pieces from home. Students became involved. This one specifically right here. These two boys were so involved. They even got a wolf's skin, a hide that they had from something else, and wanted to put it in their piece. They went home and they collected tree pieces. Finally, community presentation day came. Students had worked on their presentations. They wrote down what made their piece, why they made their piece, how it affected our community. They interacted with community members during the presentation and after the presentation. The community members now are more involved. Teachers came down during their break. Principal, board members. Getting teachers, community members, board members involved has been very beneficial to my art program. It's been beneficial to the students. They see that people care about what they do, and it puts art in a highlight. Here are just a few of the final pieces that came out from first semester. You can see how diverse their pieces are. So how did I collect my data and my interviews, and what did I do with it? So I did a lot of field notes that just made quick jots down as students were working or right after classes were dismissed. Data analysis. After collecting the data, field notes, I then went back and tried to find some common themes. So community and students shared these connections: art history and individuals, personal interest, relationships, value of traditions, collaboration, and shift in attitude. After breaking that down, I decided to break it down a little further using a mind map. So the 6 areas that I found that it really went into was autonomy, meaning making, exploration, engage and persist, which also trickled into intrinsic motivation, meaning making, excitement and interest, personal connection, social emotional, self-esteem and pride. It went into self-expression, choice of material, choice of subject. It was challenging. Collaboration. It created relationships, valued traditions, attitude change on both community members and the student. It also aided in art making process. It introduced that and it really solidified that for my students. It helped with creating problem solving and risk taking. So keywords for this are intrinsic motivation, autonomy, community involvement equaled a sense of belonging, problem solving skills, engage and persist, which are studio habits of mind, collaboration, and it builds confidence and creates a sense of belonging. This concludes my findings. Thank you for watching.